Okay, just doing a little short review of the latest hearing aid from Philips, which you can buy at COSTCO. This is box 10. This is the 9050, which is the upgrade from the 9040, which COSTCO has been selling for quite a while. And the 9050 just came out a few weeks ago. And so I upgraded from the 9040 to the 9050 a few days ago, and just wanted to go over some of the differences and perhaps benefits for you that are looking to upgrade to the latest Philips. Okay, it comes in a box like this, which is a little smaller than the previous box for the 9040. I like the other box because it had a little Velcro thing where you could actually lift the cover and open it up. This one you have to slide off this, and then they have the box to lift off the thing, so it's not quite as convenient. It is a smaller box. Okay, and then of course you got your little manuals here, your instruction manuals. One's for the hearing aid itself, and one is for the charger. And they cover pretty much everything. I think they seem to be a little better than the previous one. They cover things a little better. It's not quite as confusing, perhaps, as the previous one. And in the box comes your little charger with the cords and everything. And this charger is smaller than the previous one. The other one was, I don't know, maybe 50% bigger. But of course, you put your hearing aids in here and charge them. And this will last, I think they said 3 days if you want to travel and just carry this with you, and you wouldn't have to plug it in or anything. And also the benefit of this new one is it charges faster than the previous. This is kind of a quick charger. It'll charge, I think they said, in a couple of hours, and in like 15 minutes or so, you can get like a couple hours of charge in use. But it takes a couple hours to fully charge. The other one took longer. I can't remember why. But anyway, it's a quick charge, little smaller case, and then you can carry this if you're traveling and so forth. And then in your box, you also have your little carrying case. I don't very often use this. There's like a padded thing. You put your hearing aids in here, and little microfiber thing to wipe off your hearing aids. And there's a little brush here to clean them, like this, little teeny brush. And then there's a magnet on this thing. I never figured out what the magnet is for on one end, and then on the other end is a little teeny loop of metal. And I haven't quite figured out how you would use that. It doesn't make any mention of that in any of the instructions at all. So anyway, that's the little carrying case, which is, people say to me this is a little nicer than the ones with Jabra and so forth. And you can sort of carrying around, just put it in there. And then at COSTCO, since I'm several hour round trip around, I always ask for extra wax filters, which is what you change every so often to keep from the wax building up in the receiver. And then also I also ask for the little, what they call domes, little silicone domes that cover the receiver, and those will get dirty and used. On this particular model, they gave me a different kind of dome. They call it a open base double. And it seems to be a little more closed up than the previous ones, which were called open domes. And supposedly it gives you better bass response, and they're a little more efficient. Okay, and the hearing aids itself are a little bit smaller than the 9040. They're a little bit thicker, but they're shorter. It doesn't make too much of a difference, although I noticed when I lay down, you can tell that they're a little bit thicker. Or if you're wearing glasses, you can tell a little bit thicker. Okay, and then on the fitting at COSTCO, I kind of don't like the way they do it. You have to first go in and order, in other words, pay for them. Then they order them, and then it takes a week or so to get them. Then you have to come back a week later, and then they do the fitting, which is when they put them on you and do the little testing. and set them up for your particular ear. Uh, Costco does do real ear tests, which is important because the standard audiogram will give you a basic what your hearing loss is. The real ear will tell you more specifically what your ear is hearing, because everybody's ear is different. So your ear will capture a little more sound. So presumably the settings have to be changed on the hearing aid because your ear is helping to collect the sound as well as the hearing aid. So that's an important part. Now, one thing that they don't have yet is called an ACT test. The ACT test is supposedly kind of a good thing on this particular model because it measures the hearing and noise, and it's called the let me read here, audible contrast threshold. So test to see how bad your hearing is in noise, where you can actually hear speech while there's noise around. And Costco doesn't yet have that test available on their machines. So what I did is I asked the hearing aid guy if he could text his boss or the headquarters or whatever and see if they could get that test included in their machine in their programs. And so he said he would do it, and he said he would actually email me if they get that in. But it seems to be a fairly important item for fitting the 9050 hearing aids. Okay, so that's the only disappointment on that. Since it's new, the hearing aid guy at my Costco store didn't exactly know all the ins and outs, but I had done a lot of studying to find out more about the hearing aid. So originally when I went to order them, I asked him, do you need different domes and different filters? He said, no, they're the same. Well, it turns out they're not. They are different. And I also asked him at that time, does he have the ACT test? And he said, yeah, we can do that. And that wasn't true either. So anyway, so the guys doing your tests and stuff won't necessarily be up to speed on this thing. And I did download, you can actually get the program to do the fitting. It doesn't do the real ear part, but I downloaded just so I could see the information. So it tells you a lot of stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily know on all the adjustments. And one thing that I added that they ordinarily wouldn't is you can set up your button. There's one button, by the way, instead of two. And so you can, I want to have the volume being able to be changed by the button. It's set up by default that it will not. It would only change the programs, which you can get 4 programs on the hearing aid. But I also wanted to change the volume. So you can ask the people to set it up so you can change the volume as well as change the program. Now the program, there's 7 available. There's airplane, automobile, the general one, sound, speech and noise. There's a noise. There's one for theater, movie theater. There's one for, I can't remember, but there's 7 different ones. Plus you can have a telecoil or the new thing that I can't remember. It's similar to telecoil, but it's a different technology. And you can have those for your telephone as well as for meeting rooms and so forth. But basically there's 7 different ones. I picked out the general one, which you have to get. And then I got the hi-fi. The hi-fi I use most all the time because it basically sets up the amplification for the frequencies that you are weak in and doesn't do anything to modify speech or anything. And that seems to work pretty good for me. Then the third one I got is automobile, because I always had trouble in an automobile. You hear all this road noise and stuff, so I thought it might get rid of that. Well, it really doesn't. I think you still hear all the road noise, but I think, and I haven't fully tested it, but if there's somebody talking, it'll help to pull out that talking, but you still hear all that road noise. And then the fourth one I got is just noise, period. And that seems to basically just, is the equivalent of lowering the volume on the hearing aid. It sounds exactly the same as if you lowered it down to 0. I'm not sure it's supposed to be that way, but that's what it appears like. So it's not necessarily useful to have that because you can just turn down the volume. So So I might have them switch to what's called the speech and noise, where it brings up the speech and supposedly tones down the noise. My previous ones didn't really do much on that either. So my opinion so far is the hearing aids for me basically just amplify those frequencies, especially the high frequencies. The higher frequencies is the ones you lose. So it amplifies those high frequencies so that you can hear them better. Because I couldn't hear like birds tweeting outside until I got the hearing aid. Now you can hear birds tweeting and all kinds of different things you didn't hear before. So it does that well. But all the programs, I'm not sure they're really doing much, at least for me. Now your mileage may vary, but for me they aren't. Now my recommendation is if you already have another hearing aid, I would not pay the extra money to go get these. I would just keep going using your previous one, especially if you have the Philips 9040, the previous model. I would say just keep using those. Now in my case, COSTCO has a 6-month thing where you can return them in 6 months. So I was still within that. So I could return my 9040 and get the 9050, and that worked out perfect. Now, if you're out of that 6-month period, I would not advise you to spend the money to get the new ones. I don't think there's going to be that much benefit, unless you got money to burn, and they are $14.99. So if you still can return them, go ahead and do that. If you can't return anything, or you have some different brand, I would just carry on with those if they seem to be doing the job for you. See, because it doesn't seem there's much of an upgrade. Supposedly on these 9050s, they have an accelerometer thing built in. So when you turn somebody speaking, it knows what direction they're speaking. So if you turn your head to somebody else or over here, it'll adjust it to that person speaking over here or over here. Then if you're walking or running, it shuts all that off. So you can actually hear all around you, just like you would normally want to do. But if somebody is speaking, it can tell where your head is pointed. So it narrows the beam towards that person or that voice. Then I go over here, it goes here, goes here. And so it's basically telling how your head is moving and where it should be listening. And the equivalent model by this way is Oticon Intent. It's the same model. And the reason they name it Intent, because the programming is supposed to know your intent. If I want to intend to listen to this person over here and I'm looking, then it knows to narrow the microphone to that person. If I want to do it over here, it narrows it to that person. So it's supposedly judging your intent by where your head is moving. Or if you're walking or running, your intent is not to hear somebody speaking here or here. Your intent is to hear the whole thing around. So anyway, that's my basic review of the 9050 Philips sold by COSTCO, which are the same model as the Oticon Intent, the latest and greatest model from them. The Oticon, by the way, if you go to, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to a hearing professional, an audiologist, but the top price at Costco is like $1,500. There's one that's $1,600. If you go to an audiologist, they're going to give you better service, of course, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay at least double. They're basically the same thing, but you'll get better service, presumably. I've not done that. Okay, so that is my latest, greatest review for Philips 9050. Thank you for watching, and comment. If you have any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. Not sure I can, but I'll be glad to give it a try if you want to send me some questions in the comments. And thanks for watching.